Nancy Wise, Commissioner.
Suzanne Hoffman, Interim County.
And in the room?
Hi, April Holland, Health Department. Administrative Specialist.
Board reporter. Thank you. And online?
Jeff Van Arsdale, Benton County Sheriff.
Morning, Sheriff. And we have a couple of other folks joining us online. If you'd like to introduce yourselves, that'd be lovely.
Maura Kwiatkowski, Board of Commissioners Office.
Okay. And I think we have a couple of guests from the insurance company.
Yeah, Darren Godfrey of Hub International Northwest.
Thank you. Good morning.
Mike Godfrey, Hub International.
Good morning. Okay, are there any announcements this morning? Hearing none, we will review and approve the agenda. There was one late addition on Friday, but it did make it into the published agenda. That is a short discussion about community feedback following the bond measure 2140 non-passage. And if there are no dissenting voices, I will consider the agenda approved. Are there any comments from the public this morning? Hearing none, we will move on into our morning work session, beginning with an update from April Holland about the status of COVID.
Good morning, Commissioners, Van, Suzanne, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
If you move it a little closer, it might be helpful.
Okay, great. How's that? Wonderful. Well, I'm here today to share our COVID-19 update, and I think it'll be a quick one today. We're appreciative for this period of relatively lower transmission and calm overall. First, I'd just like to share some of the ways in which we monitor transmission of COVID-19 since the end of the emergency response. The first is hospitalizations for COVID-19. And the number of individuals hospitalized with COVID-19 across Oregon has been below 150 since the beginning of May. And 133 individuals were hospitalized at the last update. The next way that we keep an eye on transmission is the statewide COVID-19 test positivity, which is now collected by surveillance at Sentinel Laboratories and then reported to CDC. And right now that is below 4% for Oregon. So looking good. Finally, we look at wastewater monitoring, which currently reflects that most areas have not experienced recent remarkable changes in viral concentrations of SARS-CoV-2. When we see a sustained increase in the monitoring signals, an increase in COVID-19 transmission typically has followed in the subsequent 2 or 3 weeks. So the dominant strains out there that are causing that we're seeing continue to be subvariants of Omicron, and more specifically those among the XBB lineages. Our communicable disease team continues to provide support for COVID-19 outbreaks, including some in long-term care facilities and other facilities caring for individuals at higher risk for severe outcomes. Our immunizations program, by which I mean our immunizations nurse, the incredible Cindy D'Angelillo, continues to work closely with residential facilities to ensure access to COVID-19 vaccination. Thanks in large part to Cindy's hard work, Benton County has among the highest rate of up-to-date COVID-19 vaccination in the state among long-term care facilities, with 84% of residents having the recommended vaccination coverage. And while I'm on immunizations, the FDA's VRBPAC, the Vaccines and Related Biological Products Advisory Committee, in case you'd forgotten, maybe one day I will, met last Thursday to discuss and make recommendations on the next iteration of COVID-19 vaccination for our upcoming season. Their recommendation included that a selection of one of the currently predominant XBB lineages be included in the next vaccine, as these account for about 95% of worldwide COVID strains. The committee also concluded that the virus has evolved so significantly since the start of the pandemic that it's no longer necessary to include the wild type strain that we originally encountered. So that was on Thursday, and then on Friday, the FDA let manufacturers know that they should include that XBB in a specific XBB 1.5 strain as our annual strain, and it'll be a monovalent, not a bivalent, as we saw this last booster. And more information will follow from there. So the CDC's advisory committee will need to meet and come up with the details in terms of age ranges and times. And, I think we'll have some increased demand, certainly at the beginning when we first have the vaccine available, but I don't think that we'll have any severe shortages or beyond that demand. But in terms of when it's going to be available, maybe around September, but we'll continue to let you know as more information comes. This is all brand new. That's all I have for you today, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about COVID-19.
Thank you. It sounds to me as if they're heading towards the routinizing COVID vaccination on a schedule with influenza vaccinations in that back to school period in the fall.
Absolutely, Commissioner. Yeah, that's the direction in which things are headed. Of course, as we're still learning things about COVID-19 and how sick people or not it may be, we may see some changes, and some years we might have a monovalent, sometimes more. But this is where we're headed at this point.
Thank you.
Sorry for the technical difficulties with the microphone.
New microphone system. We're all getting used to it.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on our agenda is a county administrator recruitment update. And I am wondering whether Tracy Martineau is with us virtually this morning. Okay. Well, I think I will move us on to item 4.3, and we can come back to 4.2 as soon as she is able to join us. We are a little bit ahead on our agenda this morning. So the next item of business is community feedback update following the vote on bond measure 2140 from interim county administrator Suzanne Hoffman.
Thank you, Commissioner. If I can keep the microphone close enough. I just wanted to touch base with you all this morning and receive your guidance in order to move forward with a communications and engagement strategy, which expressed interest in order to assist you in determining next steps going forward. In working with our communications professionals, we're pulling together a draft for your consideration, and I just wanted to at least verbally run some of that by you this morning to see if you had concerns, questions, additional guidance before we get that in more final form and bring it back to you hopefully within a week at the next meeting opportunity anyway. And that would really be looking at some of the things that you've already expressed interest in, such as a broad-based survey, compiling all of the feedback, not only from a survey, but the feedback that's been coming in to you all and being gathered by various other community resources, which I know we've been trying to track and organize already, but continuing on that path, updating our Justice System Improvement Program web pages. And that most of that would occur in terms of that feedback and surveying in the month of July. And then in the month of August, really focusing on focus groups and having those be broad-based engagement with a compilation and ability to analyze some of the responses that come out of that to bring to you all, along with an ending piece to that of further community engagement to clearly describe to key stakeholders and community members what that focus group exercise brought forth. And then finally, in the month of September, synthesizing all of that, receiving a summary report to present to you all, and finalizing all of the Justice System Improvement Program web content to be transferred over to the new county website. This will most likely require some staffing support that we don't currently have, but we do have a contracted resource that we could continue to work with in order to keep everything moving that our communication staff are currently working on without interrupting their flow too much, and yet add this important component in as well. I do have some groundwork to do in terms of working through what the procurement requirements would be to be able to continue utilizing that contract for this additional body of work. But having a week before bringing this back to you, I should be able to accomplish that as well. So I didn't want to let another week go by without at least providing you this verbal update, and also asking for any additional guidance or concerns that you might want addressed in a framework that would come back to you next week.
Thank you, Suzanne.
I think all of that sounds good. One clarification, when you mentioned the contracting help, what is that in reference to, or what group?
We have throughout the Justice System Improvement Program, at least over the course of the last year that I'm aware of, utilized, in addition to our own staff, of course, Downham Consulting, Strategic Communications, and would recommend that if it is possible that we continue to utilize Brenda Downham as a resource.
Great, very good. I'm good with that. Thank you.
I think that the timeline is reasonable, and so is the rough content in terms of surveys and then focus groups following on. I do think we have to acknowledge the fact that because it's summertime, people might not be as available as consistently, and it might be a little more challenging. And just to be clear that no matter what feedback we receive in this process, that it won't represent everyone. But that we'll do our best to try to encompass all of the vantage points, and that we are not looking just at retrospectively in terms of why this failed, but looking forward as well as what's possible in terms of moving us forward as a county and community in terms of addressing the needs that we have with respect to community safety, emergency operations, readiness, homelessness supports, and mental health, recognizing that we might not include all of those elements in any sort of a bond measure going forward, but they're all real needs, and that we'd like to get a sense from the community about what's the highest priority and what's the best path forward for us as a county.
Great, thank you. We'll keep moving forward with that and bring you back a more final plan.
Okay. If there's nothing else on that topic, we will move on. And Tracy, are you with us? Yes. We'll move backwards to 4.2 and then we'll jump forward.
Commissioners, I apologize for the confusion. I did not have an update for you other than the email I sent last week. So at this point, I can just kind of refresh your memory there that we held the interviews last week for the first round. There are 3 candidates that we would like to move forward to the finalist round. Those names were contained in your email. And we are busy preparing for the final round of interviews next week on Wednesday and Thursday.
Thank you. And just as a reminder, we do have a public open reception on Wednesday evening to meet the candidates, correct? Okay, just
That's
so
correct.
for community members that may be watching, please watch your county email, and we will be sending out further information about that opportunity to meet the candidates. Thank you. Okay. Next item is the consent calendar, and it contains a renewal of annual liquor licenses for fiscal year 23-24.
Move to approve the consent calendar.
Second, all in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, and thank you, Don. Moving to the next item, actually, with respect to public hearing on budget, do I need to wait until 11? Okay. Our public hearing element has been noticed for 11 a.m. Therefore, we will not do that until 11 a.m. When we will proceed now to the new business portion of our calendar. The first item is 7.1, property liability and workers' comp insurance renewal with our finance staff and Darren Godfrey and Mike Godfrey from Hub International. Rick, are you kicking this off?
Yes, good morning, commissioners. Good to see you all today. We are here today just as a refresher that every year we go through the process of renewing our annual premiums for our property, our liability, our workers' compensation, auto insurance, as well as our cybersecurity. And as you mentioned, Commissioner Ogerow, with us today is Darren and Mike Godfrey, and I'm pretty much going to turn this over to them to give you kind of an overview of what we're seeing in terms of increases. I will say, and again, Jane Sievers is also here, and I want to compliment her. She's been filling in here the last couple of weeks, working with Mike and Darren, and she can certainly provide any additional context to the premium increases. But I will say, just to, from my standpoint, that pleasantly surprised. I was expecting maybe a little bit bigger increase. So I'm happy to see that our insurances are staying at a relatively normal range in terms of increases, and it's staying relatively close to what we had budgeted. So with that, Darren, I think you're going to maybe cover some of the first parts of this for the board. So I will kick it off to you.
Yeah, thanks, Rick. Thanks, commissioners. Yeah, I'm Darren Godfrey. I take care of the property and casualty side of the business for Hub International. And then Mike Godfrey takes care of the workers' compensation side of the business. So I'll start with my portion of it. Do you want me to share my screen, Rick, so everyone can see? Okay.
Yeah, Darren, that'd be great if
right.
you're able.
Can the team see my screen here?
Not yet.
Okay, let's see.
Now we can.
Now you can. All right. So I'm just going to start off kind of a 30,000 foot overview, like Rick said, of the program on the property and casualty side. I'll start with the property side first. This year we had a total value increase, so it's a little deceiving on this document. We had a little over $13.5 million worth of increase in values this year, partly due to the 7% trend that CIS applies to all members' policies, and the property policy. It trended about 7%, but we also had some midterm changes. Don't know if I'm pronouncing this properly, but the Kalapua office building that was renovated, we had some definite increases in the values to that renovated location of the schedule. So with approximately 7% trending value and an increase in that specific location, again, a little over $13.5 million of actual limit increases, along with a small rate increase of around 3 cents to the per 100 value of the property. Overall, we had a rough premium increase of around $61,000. Now, within the coverages this year, we have a small increase or an increase due to CIS's reinsurance costs going up regarding the excess quake, excess earthquake, and excess flood coverage. In the past 5-6 years, CIS has been absorbing 100% of that increase of what they're getting charged for that reinsurance cost. This year, CIS just no longer could handle that increase and has been passing that increase on to all of its members. So that's why you'll see a fairly decent size increase in the excess quake, which is called the difference in conditions coverage, of around 20,000 in premium, is because that is that reinsurance increase due to the marketplace. The property market's very hard right now, and a lot of catastrophic losses have caused that property market to really change over the last few years. Have to change my view a little bit. In terms of the liability, overall, we did have an increase in the excess liability limits this year. CIS is providing an additional $5 million of coverage on the excess. So in total, we're running around a $20 million per occurrence limit on the excess and the liability. With a premium decrease this year, actually around $2,700, which is actually fairly surprising. So overall, increase in limits and a decrease in premium. There've been no changes to our crime and bonding limits and or coverages and premium. That stayed flat this year. In terms of our cyber liability, this has been an ever-changing marketplace the last 3-4 years. It hasn't gotten better. It hasn't gotten less expensive. It's actually increased in cost, though to the county, we're able to keep the rates flat with the renewal term, which is fairly surprising given the type of coverage we're talking about. A lot of claims, a lot of losses in general across the U.S., but overall for us at Benton County, we have not increased anything in the premium.
Darren,
Yeah.
if I might jump in really quick, and maybe this is a bit of a question for you, but also just as a reminder to the board. Last year, as I think we recall, this was the policy in which we saw our limits decrease, and yet our premiums stayed the same, and that was because of the MFA not being in place. The county is currently moving in that direction, I believe, and Jane can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think last report we're hearing is maybe by the end of July that goes in place. So I guess one, just as a reminder to you commissioners that this was the one that had sort of that change last year. And then Darren, do you see that once we do go to the MFA, there will be that opportunity to come back and maybe increase these limits in any way?
I think there'll be an opportunity, I believe, to increase once that full MFA is in place. Also, we are gonna be able to increase to full limits the social engineering fraud sub limit of $250,000. Okay, it's going to increase once that full MFA by the end of July. At least that's what I hear from Adam potentially. We will be able to get rid of the sub limit and try to get full limits on some of the things, some of the items that they're limiting coverages on. Moving forward, yeah, we're going to be able to have a discussion if we want to try to get back up to I believe, a $5 million number. From the 3, and then we'll just have to cross that bridge when we come to it. And we have our full MFA in place, and we have a story to tell the carriers.
Great. Thank you, Darren. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So kind of in summary, as Rick alluded to in his first part, we're fairly pleasantly surprised that we're staying right around just over a 6% overall increase this year in premium costs. Part of that again is that hardening of the market on the excess earthquake and flood coverage. We've got about of the 6%, we're kind of estimating around 3% is driven from true rate increases, and around 3% or so are driven from higher exposures. Values are up, that type of thing. So though it's 6%, I think the true rate is falling at 2.5% to 3% in terms of actual rate, pure rate increases. Our fee hasn't changed at Hub over the last, I don't know, 5-6 years, I believe. What I also wanted to say that's not part of this screen is that Rick in loss control safety, he's been really working hard. Him and his team has really been working hard on the safety side of things, because right now the county over the last 5 years is running approximately a 74% loss ratio. This gives us a loss ratio over the last 5 years. If you take work comp out of it, but yeah, we're running right now over the last 5 years, we're running around a 74% loss ratio, which is a little bit on the high side when it comes to what CIS is trying to really achieve in terms of their loss ratio goal of around 30 to 40%. The good thing, and what Rick and the safety team have been doing a great job on, along with us at Hub in our loss control department, is over the last 2 years, we're running around a 30% loss ratio, which is really a great improvement and a trend that we're heading in the right direction. So I'm really excited about that. Again, safety team has been doing a tremendous job, and we've been doing our quarterly meetings, and every month it's just been improving. So that's what I have on the property and casualty side. If we want to wait for questions, I can get through the workers' comp with Mike Godfrey, or I can take questions now.
Are there any questions with respect to the property and liability cyber? I'm looking forward to getting our multi-factor authentication set up so that we can reduce our costs a little bit more. Not looking forward to the process headaches of being an individual using it. But thank you. No, I don't think we have questions. Okay. We can move on to workers' comp.
All right. Well, I'll introduce Mike Godfrey. He's our workers' comp lead. He's the manager of that department at Hub. And I have some screens for Mike. Mike, go ahead.
Right on. Thanks, Darren. Hey, good morning. Appreciate you having us today. Workers' compensation, particularly for you guys, is a little easier to go through and much more stable than the marketplace on the property and casualty Darren just reviewed. On average, Safe is our insurance carrier. First of all, we've been there for 2 years now. It's been a great move. We're on a guaranteed cost plan, which means there's no downsize or no risk factor associated with upper end rates based on claims. However, you guys have performed very well in the last 2 years on claims. You will see here by this illustration that although some of the rates, the pure rates, are up and some of them are down, overall you have a net decrease of approximately like 2% on the manual rates, and then, which is great. I mean, that means we're starting 2% to the good. But then in addition to that, your performance, and this is strictly your managers and your safety folks that are driving that safety culture, your experience rating, which is the credit or debit based on your performance, is going down another point this year to 0.81. And I will say that for a public entity to have a 0.81, which means you're getting a 19% discount based on your performance, is something to be proud of. It's a good deal. So with that, when you go through the math, you end up with a net decrease of 2% this year on an apples to apples basis. Now, we're using payroll of 43 million, which might be a little bit more than we used last year, because I think we use a 2 or 2.5% increase factor as a estimate. So, but from a budgetary standpoint, when we're looking at payroll, it's going to be approximately 2% less than what it was last year. Now, in terms of trending, Darren, you can go to the next. Thank you. That up just a little bit more. Perfect. Okay, so on the bottom of the screen here, something to point out is basically additional support that you're outperforming your peers. We have expected claim count shown here at 27.54, rounded up to 28, and you're currently at 21 claims. That's for this year. Last year was very similar. Expected was 30, and the actual was 19. So all the trending on a work comp standpoint, from the work comp standpoint for the last 2 years, has been positive. Overall, in the insurance, or in this, the workers' comp marketplace, we do see rates starting to tick up, the base rates, pure rates I'm talking about, very slightly. We're at the bottom of the rate curve. They've gone down for 20 years, so we do anticipate, I do anticipate some rate increase over the next 5 years, but I do think that it's going to be very minimal and based on whatever the inflation factor associated with the actual claims and medical costs that will affect the bottom line numbers. Now, if we continue to trend in the way we have, we could improve our experience model. We can offset any of those potential increases that come up potentially by our performance. So workers' comp is one line of insurance that your performance definitely does affect your ultimate premium. So the bottom line is you're doing very well. 2% down for this year, safe's a solid market, definitely is our recommendation. There's nobody in the state that is even kind of in the game, So that's the workers' comp component. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Is there any questions as regards to that?
Any questions? No, thank you very much. I'm very grateful to hear that Rick Paisley and the safety team's work is paying off, and that we are staying healthier and not incurring these costs.
They're doing a great job.
They are.
Okay. I have one question that is not related to what's in front of us, but a request from finance and HR, I guess, both in tandem. I would love to hear an update on our self-insurance for our healthcare at some point in the future. It's been, I think, a year or two since we've heard about that, and would love to hear how it's going.
Thank you, Commissioner Ogerow. I'm happy to, I don't know if Tracy is still on, but happy to work with her, and we will get something on the agenda to give you a report out. I think you'll be pleased with what we've seen with that, but happy to be able to share that a little bit more information.
I heard a little bit at the benefits fair, but yeah, wouldn't mind hearing the formal report. Thank you. And with that, I'm ready for a motion.
Apologies. Do you know what page that's on?
113.
Thank you. I move to accept the recommendations for property and liability coverages and for workers' compensation coverage for fiscal year 2023-24 as set forth by the agent of record.
Second. All in favor, please signify with an aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much, gentlemen. We are happy to be seeing these prices and reasonable increases, and look forward to the same next year, hopefully.
Hopefully. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, our next item of business is 7.2. And we are going to be speaking about a National Preservation Trust grant. And we have with us Inga Williams from the Community Development Department.
Good morning, Commissioners. We are asking you to accept this grant. I mentioned this briefly when we did the Historic Month Preservation Proclamation, and we had gotten this grant based on a unique educational system for historic preservation, which is the Specters of Benton County. It's $5,000. It does require a match. The match is coming from the certified local government grant that the HRC administers. Some of it is from the city of Corvallis and some sponsors that Specters has gotten, and then in-kind work from the Conundrum House folks. So this was just an addition to the work that they normally do, to provide them some extra funds to help us out. And we ask that you accept this.
Any questions for Inga? Okay, well, it is a fun project, and thankful that we were recognized at a national level for the innovation in terms of sharing historical information in this fashion through games.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I-
Expect Conundrum House has a great deal of fun putting these together.
Yeah, I think it sounds like an awesome partnership and just a wonderful idea.
I'm ready for a motion.
I move to approve the Community Development Department's application for grant funding and accept the National Trust Preservation Fund grant awarded to Benton County by the National Trust for Historic Preservation using the matching funds.
Second. All in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, if we have our Public Works folks with us, we'll move on to 8.1, establishing a temporary speed limit on Chapel Drive. Okay, staff are going to check on our Public Works folks, so we'll be just a moment. Okay, at this point, got it. Okay, we are waiting for Public Works staff to come over from Avery location, so we are going to take a 5-minute break. Okay, are there questions? And Laurel, do you have any comments on this proposal?
I don't, sorry, you guys moved a lot quicker in the agenda than I thought you would. I'm glad to see Ian in the, in the audience.
Thank you. Yes, we have moved really fast this morning. Okay, well, if there are no questions, I'm afraid that you might spoil people out there a little bit. I will turn to my fellow commissioner for a motion.
And thank you. I appreciate having all this information in the packet. It was very helpful to read it ahead of time. I move to approve order number D 2023-052, establishing a temporary speed limit on Chapel Drive, County Road number 26463, and direct staff to erect traffic devices in accordance with the manual on uniform traffic control devices.
Second. Okay, without any further ado, all in favor, please signify with an aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, now we're moving on to item 8.2. Acceptance of easements and right of way for Chapel Drive in order to develop this project.
Oh, thank you. So we negotiated with people along the road. Some places the roads raised quite a bit above the neighboring grade. So we in places it really benefited us to come outside of our 60-foot existing right of way. And we kind of worked through issues with each individual lot owner along the road. And we feel that these are the best solution that we came to, balancing everyone's needs and the public's needs for a safer roadway out there.
Okay, do you have anything to add, Laurel, in terms of the right-of-way easements?
I don't, yeah, mostly Ian did a great job working through issues with each property owner. So it was nice to see that. He was very patient and persistent, and so it worked out well. And I think everybody's happy with how we're moving forward with the project. Most people want to see widened shoulders out there. So thank you to Ian.
Thank you. Yeah, I remember there were some significant community concerns when this project kicked off, and I'm very grateful to hear that things have moved forward smoothly. Any further questions, Commissioner Weiss? Okay, well, once again, I'm ready for a motion.
I move to accept the right-of-way dedications and slope and storm drain easement documents.
Second. All in favor, please signify with an aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Ian.
Do you want these documents for signing now?
Not right this minute, but if you leave them with Amanda Makepeace, that would be great. Thank you. Okay, and now we are at the end of our regular agenda and we're down to other. Are there any other items for consideration before we recess this meeting until 11 a.m. For our public hearings? Hearing none, we are in recess until 11 a.m., at which time we will conduct our public hearings on our primary budget for the biennium as well. And then we will go into all of our community service district meetings for budget hearings. Thank you and see you later. Good morning. Good morning once again. We will now resume our board meeting with a public hearing. The public hearing is in regards to adopting budget and making appropriations for the biennium beginning July 1st, 2023 and ending June 30, 2025. And Jen Ambuel and Rick Krager will be presenting. Good morning again.
Good morning, Commissioners. Good to see you once again. As indicated, we're here today to approve, or I should say, adopt the 23-25 budget. You have in your packet today the updated approved budget that was presented to the Budget Committee and officially approved by the Budget Committee. That has now been released and published. And so at this point, that is available for public hearing today, of which if there's any testimony in which the public wishes to provide to us, any feedback, now would be that time to be able to listen and make any adjustments as necessary. We as staff do have a recommendation to make to you on making adjustments. I think as most of you know, by Oregon budget law, the Board of Commissioners are allowed to decrease the budget in any levels necessary. So we are proposing 2 decreases to the budget in relation to one issue that come up after the fact as it relates to the landfill charges and some of the estimates that we've done. And then of course, the other being specific to the bond measure that did not pass. And so we are asking to make adjustments. So you are unlimited in the amount of negative, or I should say reductions to make to the budget. You are allowed to make up to 10% of increases to the budget, which we are not proposing any today. So with that, Commissioner Augereau, we are, at that point of doing a public hearing and then prepared to go through those adjustments when you are ready.
Okay, I will now open the public hearing. Are there any, do you want to go ahead and present those adjustments before we have the invite public testimony?
I think from a process standpoint, Commissioner Augereau, and I'll look to Jen if she wants to add anything, but I think since we posted the approved budget by the Budget Committee, we want to have a public hearing on that approved budget. And then afterwards, we would make adjustments to that. But Jen can correct me if I got that wrong.
Thank you. Are there any public comments on the proposed and published 2023-25 biennial budget? Anyone online? Hearing no one wishing to speak to the biennial budget, I will now turn to staff to address the proposed reductions in the budget.
Commissioners, are you able to see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay, so this is from your packet, page 41, and what we're proposing here is really kind of 3 actions, and so to 3 different funds, and I'll just kind of start at the top explaining what each are. So the first is a proposal to reduce the revenue and the debt service payment for Fund 215. This was the specific dollar amount that we would have leveraged through the passage of the bond measure through property taxes that would have paid our general obligation bond. that would have been due. This would have been it would have been 1 year payment that we would have made in 23-25. So this is essentially backing that out. So that is the first adjustment for 5.728 million. The second adjustment is you'll see several cost centers here, but essentially, and these cost centers represent various components of what was in our bond measure linked to specifically the courthouse, the sheriff's office facilities, the correctional facility, as well as both the homeless facilities and the mental health facilities piece. So in those particular orders there. And so this is essentially backing out the $110 million of revenue that we would have gotten from our bond sale that would have been used specifically for each of those projects. If you add all these up, you will see that they are more than 110 million because we also accounted for interest earnings specific to what we would have accrued with those bond proceeds. So it's a little bit more, and we're using those interest earnings for construction. So that basically backs all of that out. And then finally is Fund 101, a little bit different issue. This is related to our landfill host surcharge. I think as you all know, we negotiated an agreement in 2020, 20-year agreement that essentially set our estimates for our landfill host surcharges. One of the things that, and this is, I take responsibility for this, and Vance was very helpful to me to kind of give me some background on it. And we had initially done our estimates in accordance to what those outlays were, but there was also some portions in the agreement that said those estimates would be based on, the latter estimates, I should say, would be based on expansion of the landfill, which is not anticipated as part of our projection. So we had to go back and make some modification to our estimated revenues in the general fund of 587,000 to back that out. And again, that was a complete oversight on my part. I did not know or have the history of that language. So a lot of thanks to Vance for helping me recognize that. And now we have our projection correct. So that essentially just reduces our general fund revenues. You do see that it has an impact on our designated reserves because essentially it's less revenue, but it still keeps us within the limits that we had talked about in terms of appropriate best practices as it relates to general fund reserves. So with that, Chair Ojiro, those are the adjustments that we would propose to make if you are in approval, if you approve those, we would recommend to move forward. So happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Are there any questions for staff?
So I guess I just want to clarify from my understanding. So we had at one point by accident, basically calculated revenue that would have occurred only if we expanded the landfill.
That is correct. It was, as I said, Commissioner Ojiro, wasn't recognized by me in terms of the agreement, the way it was written. But yes, that's essentially the way it was put forward. That obviously wasn't the intent of the county, and I understood that, but just didn't put that together. So my error.
Okay, thank you. And we did have some community members, I guess, think that was the case and critical of that. And so I just wanted to highlight that, yes, it was a mistake and that we are fixing it. So thank you for catching that, Rick.
Yeah, and Commissioner Wise, thank you for bringing that up here. You are correct that there was some outreach done, and we shared appreciation for those members on at least bringing that to the awareness. And I had responded to them appropriately, let them know that that wasn't the intent, but certainly was appreciative. And now we are able to make that correction.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, if there is no public comment and no further questions for staff, I will close the public hearing and turn to deliberations.
So I just wanted to just double check with the other commissioners, which is just at this time Commissioner Ojero, but just wanted to make sure that the budget notes, they're on page 39 of the electronic packet. I just want to confirm that that is, that satisfies our intention, the wording on those 3 budget notes.
I did take a look at those, and from my perspective, they do address the concerns of the Budget Committee as voiced during our process.
Thank you. I agree.
And Chair Ojero, I neglected to say, and I apologize, and thank you. Resolution number R 2023-09 is actually is the pages 35 through 40 in your packet. So, and thank you, Commissioner Wise, for bringing up the budget notes. Those are a little different. I don't think we've had those budget notes in the past. So again, though, I appreciate if there are obviously anything that you saw that isn't getting to what the intent was, please let us know. We're happy to make those adjustments in part of your motion.
Thank you. I think they're good. I just wanted to get it on the record that we were, agreeing that it was good.
Okay,
I can make a motion if you are ready.
indeed.
I move to adopt resolution number R 2023-009 in the matter of adopting a budget in the amount of $485,876,360, making appropriations and levying a tax rate of 3.1052 cents per 1,000 of assessed value for the 2023-25 biennium beginning July 1st, 2023.
Second. Any discussion?
I should have practiced that motion ahead of time, I guess. No.
No, I would like to thank staff. This budget process has been a very smooth one, and I really appreciated the organization of the information. It was easy to understand, and I think gave everyone a better sense for the trade-offs that we had to make in terms of prioritizing investments for the future. So
I just want to add to that yes, this was my second budget as a commissioner, third total. And I think this was the best budget process that we've gone through to date. Every year has gotten a little better, and I think that's great. So thank you.
And thank you, commissioners. We appreciate that. And I too, and want to just thank my staff. I want to thank Jen. I want to thank all of the staff that went in behind all of this work. So certainly it takes a village, as they said, and just a lot of appreciation for everyone. So I'm glad that it was received well from all of you, but as always, want to continue to make it better, and look forward to getting some feedback from you in a debrief in the future on how we can continue to make it even better. So thank you.
okay, and with that, I will call for the vote. All in favor of the motion, please signify with an aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you much. We are now finished with our business for the Board of Commissioners, and I will adjourn the Board of Commissioners meeting. Next, we have a series of service district meetings. And the first service district is the Benton County 911 Emergency Communications County Service District Governing Board meeting. And I will open the meeting and call for any comments from the public. Hearing none, we'll move to the consent calendar in the matter of approving April 25, 23 meeting minutes.
Move the consent calendar.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. I will now open the public hearing for the Benton County 911 Emergency Communications County Service District 23-25 biennial budget adoption. Jen.
Good morning. Okay, all right. The Benton County 911 Emergency Communications Service County Service District is a biennial budget as approved by the Budget Committee on April 18th, 2023. We are requesting that within the category of materials and services, an appropriation authority amount of $8,096,325. And we are requesting that you levy a tax at the maximum rate of 45 cents per 1,000 of assessed value.
Thank you. Is there any public comment? Any questions from the board? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing and I will accept a motion.
I move to approve the resolution adopting a budget, making appropriations and levying taxes for the Benton County 911 Emergency Communications Services County Service District, the 2023 through 25 biennium, which begins July 1st, 2023.
Second, all in favor of the motion, please signify with an aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Is there any other business before the 911 County Service District? Hearing nothing, I will adjourn the 911 County Service District meeting. And we will now move on to the Agricultural Extension Services County Service District Governing Board. I'll open the meeting with comments from the public. Are there any comments from the public? Hearing none, I'll move on to the consent calendar.
I move to approve the consent calendar.
Second, all in favor, please signify with an aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. At this time, I'll open the public hearing regarding the Benton County Agricultural Extension County Services District on adoption of the 23-24 budget. Resolution number R 2023-011, and ask Jen Ambuel to present.
Yes, the Agricultural Extension Services County Service District is an annual budget for 23-24 and is presented as approved by the Budget Committee on May 15th, 2023. We are requesting within the category of materials and services an appropriation amount of $830,108 and a request for contingency of $90,093. Total appropriation for the service district is $920,201. And we are requesting to levy a tax at the maximum rate of 8 cents per 1,000 of assessed value.
Thank you. Are there questions from the board? With no questions from the Board of Commissioners, I will turn to the audience and ask if there is any public comment. Hearing none, I will accept it. I will close the public hearing and turn to deliberations.
Ready to make a motion?
Go for it.
I move to approve the resolution adopting a budget, making appropriations and levying taxes at 8 cents per 1,000 of assessed value for the Benton County Agricultural Extension Services County Service District for the fiscal year 2023 through 2024, which begins on July 1st, 2023.
Second, all in favor, please signify with an aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is there any other business before the Ag Extension Services County Service District Governing Board? Hearing none, the meeting is adjourned. Next, we'll move on to the Alpine County Service District Governing Board. And I will open the meeting with comments from the public. If there are no comments from the public, we'll move on to the consent calendar, approving minutes from May 16th, 2023.
Move to approve the consent calendar.
Second, all in favor, please signify with an aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that takes us to our public hearing for the Alpine County Service District budget adoption for 2023-24. And I will turn to Jen Ambuel for the staff presentation.
Alpine County Service District is also an annual budget, and we are proposing, as approved by the Budget Committee on May 17th, a total appropriation amount of $67,650, which is broken into the categories of materials and services at $32,674, and a request for contingency of $29,976, and they do not levy a tax.
Any questions for Jen? Okay, is there anyone who wishes to speak to the Alpine County Service District budget? Hearing no takers, I will close the public hearing and I am ready for deliberations or a motion.
I move to approve the resolution adopting a budget and making appropriations for the Alpine County Service District for the fiscal year 2023 through 2024, which begins July 1st, 2023.
Second. All in favor, please signify with an aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Is there any other business before the Alpine County Service District? Hearing none, the meeting is adjourned at 11:20 a.m. Next, we'll move on to the Alsea County Service District Governing Board. And I will open with comments from the public. Hearing no takers, I will move on to the consent calendar approving May 16th, 23 minutes.
Move to approve the consent calendar.
Second. All in favor, please signify with an aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'll now open the public hearing with respect to the Alsea County Service District budget adoption. Jen and Marilee.
The Alsea County Service District is also another annual budget, and we are providing you this information based off of the Budget Committee approval on May 17th, 2023. We are making a request for appropriation categories in materials and services of $58,976, capital outlay at $10,000, and requesting a contingency of $198,143. The total appropriation for 23-24 for the district is $267,119.
Any questions for Jen? Is there anyone wishing to testify with respect to the Alsea County Service District budget as proposed? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing and turn to my fellow commissioner for deliberations or a motion.
I move to approve the resolution adopting a budget and making appropriations for the Alsea County Service District for the fiscal year 2023 through 2024, which begins July 1st, 2023.
Second. All in favor, please signify with an aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is there any other business before the Alsea County Service District Governing Board? Hearing none, I'll close the meeting at 11:22 a.m. Our next Service District meeting is the Alsea Human Services County Service District Governing Board. Are there any comments from the public? Hearing none, move on to the consent calendar.
Move to approve the consent calendar.
Second. All in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
Aye. And now I'll open the public hearing and invite Jen Ambuel to describe for us the proposed budget for the Alsea Human Services County Service District.
Again, this is an annual budget for 23-24 as approved by the Budget Committee on May 17th, 2023. Requesting within the category of materials and services, $37,927. Capital outlay again of $10,000 and a request for contingency of $8,175. Total appropriation for the district is $56,102. And we are requesting to levy a tax at the rate of 38 cents per 1,000 of assessed value.
Okay. Are there any questions for Jen about this proposed budget? Would anyone like to speak to this budget at this time? Hearing no one, I'll close the public hearing and move on to either deliberations or a motion.
I move to approve the resolution adopting a budget, making appropriations and levying taxes at a rate of 38 cents per $1,000 of assessed value for the Alsea Human Services County Service District for the fiscal year 2023-2024, which begins July 1st, 2023.
Second. All in favor, please signify with an aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is there any other business before the LC Human Services County Service District Governing Board? Okay, I will now close this meeting at 11:24 a.m. The next Service District meeting is Cascade View County Service District Governing Board. I will open the meeting at 11:25 a.m. with comments from the public. Hearing no interest in comment, I will turn to the consent calendar.
Move to approve the consent calendar.
Second, all in favor, please signify with an aye.
Aye.
Aye. And next up is our public hearing in the matter of Cascade View County Service District adoption of 23-24 budget. Jen Ambuel.
Again, this is an annual budget as approved by the Budget Committee on May 15th of 2023. We are requesting within the category of materials and services an appropriation authority of $31,268, capital outlay of $5,000, and a request for contingency of $164,914. The total appropriation amount for 23-24 would be $201,182, and they are not levying a tax.
Any questions for Jen? Hearing none, I will turn to public. Any public comment? With no public comment, I will close the public hearing and I am ready for deliberations or a motion.
I move to approve the resolution adopting a budget and making appropriations for the Cascade View County Service District for the fiscal year 2023 through 2024, which begins July 1st, 2023.
Thank you. Second. All in favor, please signify with an aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is there any other business before Cascade View County Service District Governing Board? Hearing none, I will close the meeting at 11:27 a.m. We will now move on to the Hidden Valley County Service District Governing Board. I will open the meeting at 11:27 a.m. with comments from the public. Hearing no one interested in speaking, I'll turn to the consent calendar.
Move to approve the consent calendar.
Second, all in favor, please signify with an aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next, we will open the public hearing in the matter of the Hidden Valley County Service District budget adoption for 23-24. Jen Ambuel.
Isn't that? Again, this is an annual budget as approved by the Budget Committee on May 15th of 2023. We are requesting within the category of materials and services, $11,503 and capital outlay of $2,000. And finally, a request for contingency of $30,462. Total appropriations in Hidden Valley County Service District would be $43,965. And again, there is no levy for a tax requested.
Are there any questions for Jen about the Hidden Valley budget? Hearing none, are there any public comments? With no public comments, I'll close the public hearing and turn to my fellow commissioner for a motion.
I move to approve the resolution adopting a budget and making appropriations for the Hidden Valley County Service District for the fiscal year 2023 through 2024, which begins July 1st, 2023.
Second, all in favor, please signify with an aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Is there any other business before the Hidden Valley County Service District Governing Board? Hearing none, the meeting is adjourned at 11:29 a.m. We are getting close to the last one. Our next county service district is the Library Services County Service District Governing Board, and I'll open the meeting at 11:29 a.m. with comments from the public. Hearing no one from the public who wishes to comment, we will move to the consent calendar.
Move to approve the consent calendar.
Second, all in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Next, I'll move to the public hearing and invite staffer Jen Ambule to speak to the Benton County Library Services County Service District.
Just to change things up, this is a biennial budget for 23-25, as approved by the Budget Committee on April 18th, 2023. We are requesting within the category of materials and services an appropriation amount of $7,222,981 and are requesting to levy a tax at the maximum rate of 0.3947 cents per 1,000 of assessed value.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Jen? Hearing none, is there anyone from the public who wishes to testify? Hearing no interest, I'll close the public hearing and shift over to deliberations or a motion.
I move to approve the resolution adopting a budget, making appropriations and levying taxes for the Benton County Library Services County Service District for the 2023 through 2025 biennium, which begins on July 1st, 2023.
Second, all in favor, please signify with an aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is there any other business before the Library Services County Service District Governing Board? Hearing none, the meeting is adjourned at 11:31 a.m. We are now at our last county service district. I will now open the meeting for the South Third County Service District Governing Board at 11:31 a.m. with comments from the public. Hearing no comments, we'll turn to the consent calendar.
Move to approve the consent calendar.
Second, all in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Now I will open the public hearing and ask Jen Ambule to present the budget for the South Third County Service District for 23-24.
The final budget of the day is an annual budget for South Third County Service District and is presented as approved by the Budget Committee on May 15th, 2023. We are requesting within the category of materials and services an appropriation amount of $28,280 and within debt service, $3,100. Total appropriation for the district amounts to $31,380 for 23-24.
Thank you. Any questions? Is there anyone who wishes to comment on this budget? Hearing no interest, I will close the public hearing and I'm ready for a motion.
I move to approve the resolution adopting a budget and making appropriations for the South Third County Service District for the fiscal year 2023 through 2024, which begins July 1st, 2023.
Second, all in favor, please signify with an aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is there any other business before the South Third County Service District Governing Board? Hearing none, I will adjourn the meeting at 11:33 a.m. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, finance staff, and all of our fellow budget committee members who helped us with the work. And we are done for the morning.